All rise. Court is now in session. Welcome to Evidence of a Good Book. I'm Tiff. This is the show where we put the plot on the stand. Ladies and gentlemen, here every book is presumed innocent until proven unputdownable. I'll be your judge. I will hear all of the evidence. I will read all of the documents. That's the book, guys. The documents is the book. And I will hand down the ruling, and you are the jury. So, without further ado, let's call today's case. Before we swear in our very first witness, and yes, I do mean actually very first witness, let me say it properly. Welcome to the grand opening of this courtroom. This is episode 1 of Evidence of a Good Book. This is the channel where all of our reads, love them or hate them, stand trial. And you and I decide whether they are guilty of being a great book. If you followed me from over at Tiff Unraveled, welcome to the sister court, okay? Same obsession with a good mystery, brand new kind of suspect. Just the books, okay? New here entirely, welcome. Pull up your seat, squeeze into that jury box. We'll always make room for you, and I promise you, you're going to love it here. The doors to the courtroom are officially open, so let's do exactly what we came to do, and let's put our very first plot on the stand. A quick note before we begin. Today's book does deal some with grooming, child, and domestic. I will handle it carefully when I have to talk about those sections. But if those are hard topics for you today or in general, this book may not be for you, and this review may not be for you. So I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. Please, babe, always take care of yourself. There are a million more of these to come. Come back when you can. It's okay if you have to sit one out every now and then. We're not going anywhere. All right. So The Accused. None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. Here's the setup. Okay. You ready? Two women meet by total coincidence in the same pub on the same night, same birthday, same age, turning 45 years old at the exact same moment. Okay. One of them is glossy, right? She's successful. She runs a very popular podcast. The other one is not. She's just not. And the not glossy one looks at the other stranger's very shiny life, and I imagine feels some kind of way about it. And she knows that she runs this very popular podcast, and the not so shiny one decides, you know what? I would make the perfect subject for this podcast. I would make the perfect subject for this podcast. This could be a story about my reinvention. This could be, your listeners would love to hear about a woman who was, finally about to change her life, just, on the verge of changing her life. The charge set before us, emotional home invasion in the first degree, because the question that this entire book is built on is very deep, but very unsettling. And that question is, what happens when you let the wrong person all the way in and you don't realize it until they're already inside? So let's examine the evidence. Exhibit A. The premise, the hook of this book, it grabs me by the collar on page 1 and it did not let me go, mostly. But we'll get to that. The whole birthday twins premise is such a clean, creepy little engine. And two strangers, right? You have two complete strangers. You have one mirror. And then you have this very slow dawning horror that one of these women has an agenda, right? It's the kind of book that people read in a single day, and I was one of them. Exhibit B, the atmosphere. You know why it was creepy? Because it was set in a very bright, sunny London summer. It is absolutely suffocating in all of the wrong ways, right? Because most thrillers go dark and stormy. And this one I think does something a little bit different, right? And it comes from this very too friendly smile. And then this woman who simply won't leave. Exhibit C. And members of the jury, I actually feel like this is the star witness, the audiobook. I did something that I very frequently do. I read part of my books physically. I read part of them on my Kindle. And then I listen to them when I'm moving and grooving at work. I listen to them on the audio version. And I have to tell you something. The audiobook of None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell, full blown production. It is its own beast. Nicola Walker, Louise Brealey, and I mean, just an entire ensemble, a full cast. Okay. And then the story is partly about a true crime podcast. So you have like recorded interviews and that kind of thing. And the audio recreates that for you. You get these podcast segments, these interview snippets, you get music, you get the works, and it literally stops feeling like you're listening to an audiobook, and it feels like at points you're listening to a docuseries. It is so good. It's so good. And then, of course, I mean, for this channel, especially, right? My main channel is a true crime channel. And now I'm here on my sister channel reviewing a book about a true crime podcast in the format of a true crime podcast. So it's like, anyway, if you are an audiobook person, this actually raises one of the cases where I would argue that the audiobook isn't just an option for you. Don't come for me, but I might actually say it's the better way in. I'm just saying, so good. All right. Now, let's call our witnesses to the stand. Here's the fun part about trying this book. The title tells you absolutely everything you need to know, and it means it. None of this is true. And I can tell you right now, under oath, every single person on the stand is lying to you. The question is, how? About what? Taking the stand first, we have Alex Summer. Alex is our podcaster. She is successful. She is shiny. She is put together. She is the woman that everyone wants to be. Everyone wants to talk to. She's got the life that everyone wants, okay? She is our way into this story. She seems like the reliable one, the credible one. Hold that thought. Next witness on the stand, Josie Fair. Josie. Josie is one of the great unsettling characters that I have read recently. She's meek, she's apologetic. She's the kind of person that you feel sorry for when you see her in a social setting, like at a party or whatever, right? And she is fascinating precisely because throughout the entire story, you really can never tell if she's the victim or the predator or both at the same time. Every single time you think you've got a read on her, she shifts. She shifts. What makes all of this testimony so good is that Lisa Jewell doesn't just hand you a villain with a neon sign. You know, she hands you two very ordinary seeming women. Lisa Jewell lets you very slowly realize that ordinary was the disguise. And the book forces you to continuously ask yourself, whose version do you believe? Who's telling the truth here? And the honest answer is don't believe anyone. That's the answer. That is not a flaw in this book. That is the design, in my opinion. I will save, who lies about what for the smoking gun section. But for now, just know this is a masterclass novel in unreliable narrators. Plural. Counsel, I'll hear objections. Any objections? There are objections. There are complaints filed against this book, I will say. Some from the public, some from myself. I'm going to rule on each one. Objection. This book, the ending is too ambiguous. This is far and away the most common complaint out there. I will say that upon reading lots of reviews on, Goodreads, etc., this is the most common one. On the ambiguity itself, overruled. Yeah, you heard me. Overruled. Have a seat. Have all the seats. Listen, we have been trained over and over and over again by tidy little thrillers to expect this clean little bow wrapped ending where like some detective explains everything in the last chapter to us while we all just nod our heads and say, totally makes sense. But let me tell you something. Real stories, they don't resolve like that. They don't. An ambiguous ending isn't always. I'm not saying it's not always. Usually I'm very good at words. Okay. You know what I mean? It's not always, I will not say that sometimes it's not, but it's not always the writer, the author of the story, like running out of road. I don't believe that. In fact, sometimes I think that an ambiguous ending, it can sometimes be the bravest choice on the entire menu. Okay? Objection. The final stretch of this book loses its grip. Listen, guys, here I'm going to have to agree with the room. Sustained. Okay? The last 15%, it does trade some of that like white knuckle tension that we've been feeling in this book for something a little quieter. I did definitely feel the vice kind of loosen a little bit towards the end. It does not sink the book for me, not by any means, okay? But it is probably the reason we're not more than 4 gavels, but hold that thought for the verdict, okay? Objection. This book is too sympathetic to an abuser, and it blurs the lines around a groomed minor. This story does sit right on top of grooming and the of a teenager, and a real number of readers felt like it was extending a degree of sympathy, right? Like almost a softening. That's genuinely uncomfortable given what we learn has been done in this book. Sustained as a fair concern. But my read was that the book was just depicting something ugly. I don't by any means think it was endorsing it. Not at all. I feel like the discomfort is the point of that part of the story. But I will absolutely not just wave that objection away, because readers who felt otherwise, or if you haven't read this book and you feel otherwise, you are not wrong to. You guys can weigh it. You are the jury. That is what you are here for. It's your turn. All right. Now, this is the spoiler zone. This is the spoiler zone. I'm gonna say this again and again and again. We're calling this the smoking gun section of these book reviews, right? Spoiler alerts. Don't get mad at me if you go from this point to the verdict and beyond. You can skip this part and go to the verdict. Don't get mad at me. I'm telling you right now. Okay? So, spoiler averse jurors, this is your exit. Okay? What I should do is put a timestamp in the description. New channel. I don't even do timestamps on my main channel. I'm going to learn that because I feel like in this one it might be important. But anyway, here we go. Everyone approach the bench. Quick cast list first, right? Because the reveal really only lands if you know who's who, okay? If you've read this, you'll know who's who. But if you haven't and you just don't want to and you're here for the spoiler because you just want to know about the book but you don't want to read it, no judgment. I'm here for you too, okay? Josie. So Josie is our unsettling little house guest, okay? We find out that years ago, Josie was groomed by and later married a much older man named Walter. Together, Josie and Walter had 2 daughters, Roxy and Erin. Now, on the podcast with Alex, Josie is very much painting herself as the long-suffering victim who finally escaped a monster. And Alex, meanwhile, our podcaster, has her own quietly falling apart marriage with her husband, Nathan. Here's what actually unravels. Josie's "I'm finally gonna transform my life" is not a glow up. It's a body count. She becomes convinced. She truly herself believes that the only way for women to thrive or to flourish is to get rid of the deadbeat men that are in their lives, husbands, whatever. Yeah. So her husband, Walter, ends up dead. Alex's husband, Nathan, also ends up dead. I told you, don't get mad at me. I told you before we started this. Spoilers, it's your own fault now, if you're at this point. Josie had been drugging Alex's husband, Nathan. Ends up saying it was like an accident or whatever. Erin, so this is Josie's daughter, is left beaten and in a coma. And then we have the body of Brooke, Josie's other daughter, Roxy's first girlfriend, who had gone missing. She turns up in a car in Josie's own garage. But the real gut punch for me here was the very last page. Privately, Josie finally admits the thing that she had been lying about the entire time. It wasn't her that killed her daughter's girlfriend, Brooke. It was Roxy, her daughter. Roxy killed Brooke, okay? Josie covered that up. And then she gets on this podcast and she's lying about it to protect her daughter. And what Josie is telling herself is that this is the right thing to do. This is the thing that makes Josie a good mother in her own mind. That's the whole title in a single move. None of this is true. Literally none of this is true. It's not marketing. And in this case, it's Josie's entire self-image. And that's exactly why this ending worked for me, even though it frustrated so many people. Josie essentially gets away with it. There's no arrest. There is no reckoning for Josie here. And she continues to just narrate her own innocence. There's no little bow to put on that, right? It is just this free woman telling lies, but believing her own story. And that is the horror in this book. So, who is this book for? If you love it's kind of a slow tightening, right? Psychological thriller. The threat isn't the plot twist, it's a person. This could be for you. If you love unreliable narrators, I am such a sucker for the unreliable narrator trope. If you like unreliable narrators and you don't need everything spelled out and tied up in a pretty little bow, absolutely. If you're a true crime person, the podcast within the book structure is going to scratch a very specific itch for you, especially in that audiobook. Here's who I think maybe should sit this one out, right? Like if you need a clean, just resolution, and then of course, if abuse themes are a hard no right now, this is not the one for you, and that's okay. My one big recommendation, and I will continue to put this on a billboard until the day that I die, do it on audio if you can. I promise you, this is one of those rare cases where the audiobooks is not like a convenience. It's the definitive version, in my opinion. Okay, the court is ready to rule. On overall merit, 4 out of 5 gavels for me. A near perfect score. It's not perfect, but this one was so good. So good to me. Okay? It does loosen its grip at the very end. That was my beef with it, and that's what kept it from being right, but it was not enough to drop the case for this book. It was just enough to keep it off the top shelf. Let's talk about the charges on perjury, okay? For a book where every narrator lies through their teeth, guilty, gloriously guilty. On the charge of grand theft sleep, right? For all of the nights that I told myself, well, actually it was one night. I finished this book in one day. So I would say for the night that I told myself one more chapter and I meant it 0%, guilty. On public sedation, boring me into a coma, not guilty. Never. Not once. On the charge of obstruction of justice, for an ending where nobody pays, guilty as charged. And honestly, that's what's going to make it haunt you. So that is it. That is it. That is our first case closed. Our first book on trial. The plot on the stand. Tell me in the comments. Are you on team That ending was brave. Are you on team I just needed more? Have you even read the book? If not, seriously, please do. Trust me. When they suck, I'll tell you. Okay. It's for a whole other docket. Okay. But as far as you guys, the jury is still out. I want your ruling on this book. Until the next trial, my loves, please keep reading. Trust no narrator and keep digging for evidence of a good book. Love you.